How every morning starts. Cup of coffee. And away we go. Hope you enjoy the video. Welcome back. I know it's been a while, and I apologize for that. Been trying to do a few shorts as I can just to keep you interested. But a few things been happening, so let's kind of go through a list. For starters, I actually put a little bling on the side. Had a good friend of mine at Rapid Graphics down in Florida do those for me. Kind of fits the rough as a cob look that I'm going for. This is not a rat rod. This is supposed to look like a gasser that came out of the weeds and was reborn. So, starting off up here, I guess if you already watched my video, you saw this little girl start. She's sounding fine. Few little issues I've had. Number one, the Chinese radiator cap down on this radiator is a 16 pound. It released it right around 11. So as soon as it started to build up any pressure at all, it popped out the side. And that's okay, because originally it had this little nipple in the side, which would be for your overflow bottle, which I'm not using. So I tapped it to a standard size 1/8 pipe, and I went ahead and put a fitting in it. Now this cap here is a 19 pound. It came with the adapter on the top. You have to excuse that cap. That cap up there is no good. But that cap seals fine down here, so I can use it down there. Now moving up to the top, I had to go with this because of the way the radiator sits. You can see it's below the thermostat housing, and therefore I couldn't fill down here and expect it to get water up there. So I went with the adapter housing to put a cap on the top. Did that all the right way. Put a 195 thermostat in it because of course I'm going to be running AC. And the 195 thermostat just decides to open when it darn well pleases, which is, well, pretty much nowhere the last time. So the motor went up to 200. I shut her down. I now have a 180 in it, which is where I'd rather have it anyway. I have the two cooling fans on the front of the radiator. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. We'll try and get in there. But I have a second one, well, a third actually, on the front of the AC condenser separate, so that I should have plenty of fan. So now moving around to the fun stuff. In my garbage can is a Summit MSD box. Sorry, multi-spark discharge box. It is not made by MSD. Now we have another new one over there, and apparently they stopped making the one that I had, and I don't know if it's a fault of the units, but I've had two. The first one, as you can go back in my videos and see, had no hours on it, but I did purchase it with plans to put the car together, and it was just a hair over a year later that I actually got the engine in and ready to start. It started one time, it quit, and the box was bad. Went through all the diagnostics. The whole ignition is Summit. It's a Summit box, it's a Summit distributor, it's a Summit coil. Went through everything, turned out to be a bad box. Zoom up to just after the warranty ran out. They were very good to me. Although they didn't give me a full credit, they did give me some Summit bucks, which, hey, no matter what, it helps, right? They didn't have to do anything. So I accepted that offer. I ordered another box from them. Move up now after last year's debacle when I couldn't get it registered. I kind of lost interest, and then right after that, we bought property in Tennessee. I had to pack up my entire other property and move. So the car kind of sat on the wayside. You'll see in one of the videos where the poor thing's sitting outside in the weather with a cover. The cover did a great job, but it didn't do a perfect job. There's a lot of surface rust on painted surfaces and stuff that I missed with paint. But we'll be addressing that a little bit. But move up now. Summit upgraded the box. They no longer make that old box. I went ahead and took another shot because I trust in them to have a decent warranty. It's half the price of an MSD box. And in my career, I have had problems with the Marine version 6ALMs. with the standard ones, the 6ALs and the previous units before that. I mean, you watch videos all the time and these guys, they're failing, and it's not MSD's fault. It's well, I don't know whose fault it is. I'm not going to go there. But so this one I did a little bit different. I normally run them to the starter because of course the battery's right next to it in most cars, but in this one, of course, being in the trunk. So I ran 8-gauge wire all the way to the battery, hardwired the hot wires into the box. It's working perfect. Everything is good there. So at the same time with the overheat, of course, you go through everything and you panic. So I thought maybe I had the wrong rotation water pump, but it turns out that wasn't it. I thought maybe I had a blown head gasket. Well, that's kind of tough, being as it's not missing. There's no water in the holes, no water in the oil, but it was making some bubbles, so you scare. So I hooked my pressure tester up. I fired the car up. I put 10 psi in it. It sat right at 10 psi. It didn't start going up like it's blowing compression into the water jackets. It didn't go crazy, so I'm good there. I'm happy with all of that. So now, move on to other little things. I'm kind of a fat boy. The woman I married now is a damn good cook, and we've been together long enough. You know, what, 20 years now. Jeez, I'm getting old. And so for the first time since I got the car originally had like 65 Impala bucket seats in it, which were just mush. But I sat in the car. Well, zoom up to now. With a new tilt steering column. Once again, I'm using that old steering wheel that was in the car when I got it. I cleaned it up and I restained and varnished the wood just because nostalgia. And I put these beautiful 2014 Camaro bucket seats in it with every pad magic stuff you can imagine. And I can't fit in the car. So, what do you do from there? Well, I went to the boneyard. And my original thought was to put a bench seat in it. Just get like the rear seat that's a flip down seat out of something. Put the base on the floor. Put the back right there. And have plenty of room. The problem with that is this is kind of wide. It's wider than most cars with a flip down back seat. From Mercedes to Kia to SUVs to full-size trucks. We measured and tweaked and screwed around with a bunch of them. I actually bought one for 50 bucks, brought it here, and then realized that you always got to take a tape measure to the U-Pull-It yard. So we go back, I go looking around, and what do I find? But once again, Camaro seats. These are out of a, what would it be, a 4th gen, like a 88. They're much narrower backs. As you can see the difference in the width of that compared to the width of that. They're narrower back, they're lower, which means I can set them a little bit different, stretch out a little bit more. It's not uncomfortable, so that's what's going in there. So I also got shoulder harnesses. I don't know why. As rusty as this body was, the mounts are still good to the frame and all, but you just gotta hope you don't do anything stupid or anybody else does, because, well, there's some crumple panels in the old girl. So, moving on. Now it's time for some electrical and some other stuff. So, let me go into the fuel system just a little bit for you so you know what's going on there. I have an Edelbrock pump, which is loud enough you can hear it from the neighbors, and that's a 1/4 mile away. I mounted the battery next to it. That will be getting a cover on it. Fuel cell is here. I haven't hooked up the fuel gauge yet. I will do that. Ha, like it'll work. It's a 15-gallon fuel cell. I did cut a hole in the floor so that the fuel line and everything goes out the bottom, and also gasoline fumes are heavy, so it'll go out through there. Then this gets a trunk lid, which is here, and that trunk lid will have an access plate. Let me find it through all my junk. This is all got to go back in the car at one point or another. It's all the stuff that hasn't gotten done. So, needless to say, 28 days is going to go by pretty quick. Here we go. I'm going to put a good old pie eye in, just like a boat. so that when that is closed, I don't have to totally empty the back of the car just to put fuel in it. So this will sit up on top of it. I can just move the stuff out of the way, and then this part unscrews. Sorry if that makes you dizzy. This part unscrews and I can reach right down through the hole. So, there's that. Now, what's that hole in the top, you may ask? Well, you probably didn't. You might not have noticed. And if you did, you already know. That is the fuel vent. So, coming out of that, it's going to go out through the side, go up inside that inner fender, which is 2-ply, and come up into the back up here. And in there, I have a rollover valve and vent, which is open. And when you flip it over, sorry, the ball falls down, seals it up so that if it's upside down, all the fuel isn't going to run out. I am going to put a piece of screen around this with a wire tie, because it's a great place for bugs to get in and build nests, and then you don't have a fuel vent and you wonder why your tank collapses. So what's happening there is I'm going to use AN10 fittings. I know it's overkill, but I got them. I'll put a bulkhead fitting in there. We'll run it up to the top. I got a few sneaky things that are going to happen that I'll probably tell everybody after the power tour. Just a couple anti-theft devices that I think will work out pretty well. I am going to put a battery switch in of some sort. Haven't figured out exactly how I want to do that yet. So that takes care of the under the trunk part, if you will. Now, as far as the interior on these sides, I had just glued some foam on here, try and get a little bit of sound deadening. And I may just, I don't know, cover them up with some carpet or something, because obviously this thing's going to be kind of loud. I do have the sound deadener mat on the top of this. I haven't decided what I'm going to do underneath. We'll see. But I do have to do something with this, because I got a feeling that all that's going to fall on my head at one point. So I had originally planned on using a piece of board covered in a nice velour stuff, velvet, I don't know what the hell you call it, but anyway, and putting that up there. But the problem is on the trip up here it warped and it's no longer viable, so we'll see. I do have a whole bunch of trim around the windshield, around the top of the windshield, around the side windows. All of that's got to go back in. I don't know how much of that stuff's going to get done. My main concerns at this point: get the front end wired, get the fans wired, get the seats in, get the other side rocker panel in so I don't cut myself, because as you can imagine with these little door windows, it's kind of a trick to get in and out. It's not difficult. It is a little awkward when you're 66 years old, but as you get in and out, I don't want this cutting into my calves, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, I've got lockjaw or I'm in the hospital with tetanus or something. So that's not happening. So now we're over to this side. A few things I still have to do here. I did change the alternator belt, so I've actually got it adjustable now. The belt I had on it was so tight that you couldn't adjust it. It was all the way against the brackets and not working. It does charge, as you can see in that short video. I did cure all of my brake leaks over here. I hope still. Appears to be, oh, we got a little one. Well, we'll find that. They're easy. It's just usually use loose fittings. My bad. You get kind of scared to really put anything to them. So, got that done. I've got the clutch all in, as you know. I got the new bell housing in. Everything's ready to go there. Just have to bleed the clutch. I have my coil mounted. Had to mount it closer to the engine than I had hoped for, but these are actually drains. I don't know how well you can see it slants down, so as the water comes down, it drains here, and of course with the hole in the hood there. So that's about the safest place to put it, where it's not going to get direct water on it. I mean, let's face it, if it's raining, I do have that big old scoop that I might just retrofit on top of the hood just if it rains, just so the car's still drivable. I did get the shocks in. I do have to tighten up the steering column stuff a little bit. Let's see if I can do both. Everything is tight, but I do still have a little bit of play, so I need to adjust the box. Once I get the box adjusted, of course I have to do the heims, or the U-joint things here. I need to snug those up. I'm probably gonna spot weld those in place. I don't like the fact that they're only held on by a set screw. Yeah, it'd probably work. Yeah, I could use Loctite red on them. But to be honest with you, we don't want that happening and all of a sudden you lose steering. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a zap on each one. Won't hurt. So from there, as you already know, the windshield is brand new. Thanks to Bill and Dave. They'll be on the power tour. Hopefully I'll get to run with them for a while if this car will keep up. They were great help on doing this windshield and stuff. I couldn't have done it without them. Also with the wiring, they helped me just pulling wires and running wires. And as you can see in the other videos, I showed how I wired the taillights, how I built the dashboard, all of that stuff. So we are now 28 days from getting on the power tour, the start of the actual power tour. 28 days, 4 weeks to the day. I still have to get all of this situated so we can pull our motorhome up here, so that my wife is comfy at the property before I leave on the power tour. Leave her by herself up here with 3 dogs. She's protected. We ain't worried about that. It's just to make sure that everything works out here. So moving on a little bit more, things I want to do. Of course, I do have the AC unit to put in. I have to have that in because with those little side windows, there's not a lot of air. There is a foot vent in the center of the dashboard that you push with your foot, and it opens a door in the front, which right up in the cowl allows cold air in. That's great. I can roll the windows down a little bit or crack the vents, but this thing's going to be noisy enough as it is, because my exhaust, if you watch back a video or two, is pretty darn loud. And I'm sure going down the road at 2,000 RPM and 6th gear at 70 miles an hour is going to be loud. So I got to have the windows closed and all of that. Got to have the AC running. I did buy a Fusion radio. Fusion is a company that primarily makes stuff for marine use. But because I was in the boat business for years, I got one. It's a good little radio. Obviously I don't need a CD player or anything because everything's on Spotify and in my phone now. So we've got that, so I can run around Bluetooth. I can use it as my phone, the whole bit. So that'll be going in. Backing up once again, as you recall, I have those 2 speakers that I've put up in the front, which used to be the defroster holes, but I'm not using the factory box, so we've got those. The center one, I was planning on making that a flip-up GPS with my tablet, but I don't think that's going to happen before the power tour. I do have another set of speakers. Where are they at? I think they're hiding over here too. Yeah, what are they? They aren't magic. They're just a set of 4-way 6.5s. And let's face it, I don't need 3,000 watts, although it'd probably be nice with as loud as this is going to be. So there's that. So we've got 2. I should have 3, but I just couldn't do it in a brand new rented Dodge truck because I was moving the very next week. So I had to leave my boys and head back to the house. Sadly, I did the right thing and I missed out on the power tour. But this year we're going to do the whole thing. This old girl's got to make it. If it doesn't make it, I'm renting a U-Haul truck and a U-Haul car hauler and I'm still going to do the whole tour. So stay tuned, stand by. I'll be doing a bunch of videos, one right after the other, going through this stuff as much as I can. I'm not going to edit this video. Please like and subscribe. I know you've heard all the stories in the past. Only 20% of you guys look at this stuff, blah, blah, blah. You aren't subscribed. You don't. It helps the algorithm, lets everybody get more out there. Well, the reality is, the more people that subscribe, the more of a chance I have of actually making 35 cents in the next year and a half, which would kind of be nice, to be honest with you. But the reality is, it does help because it makes me know that you're watching it and you're actually liking the content. Even if you don't subscribe, at least click like, make a comment. If you don't like it, say it. I can handle it. I'm a big boy. I've taken a lot of rejection through my life. I mean, hell, look at me. And give me some information. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. Hope you like Neighbor's Complaint, because it's different. Watch for it. It'll be cruising the neighborhood soon. All right, guys. Hope you have a great day. Be safe. And we'll be back at you soon.